The divine flow is an underlying current in your life that is continually guiding you towards the effortless fulfillment of your heart's desires. I'll say that again. The divine flow is an underlying current that is continually guiding you towards the effortless fulfillment of your heart's desires. Now, if that sounds like the law of attraction to you and the process of manifestation, you're absolutely right. That is what it is. But there's a little bit of a different emphasis that I put on it. And that centers around the word guiding you to your good. You know, if you take a very shallow look at The Secret and how it presents the law of attraction, you know, you can easily get the idea that all you really ever have to do is visualize what you want, and you will attract it to you. It's sort of like, if I get back to the stream analogy, it's sort of like sitting on the edge of a stream. I visualize what I want, I raise my energy vibration about that, and the next thing I know, it is washing down the stream and right into my lap. Now, can that happen? Actually, yes. Yes, it can happen exactly like that. And I'm going to tell you, I love this little story. It's just a cute little thing that happened to Carol and I once. Carol's my lovely and loving partner here sitting on the front row. I want to tell this little story about how you can actually just sit by the stream, wish for what you want, and it literally comes right to you. One day, Carol comes home to my apartment when we were living in Dallas, and she's going to cook us an Italian dinner. And she brought some French bread with her, and she starts cutting the bread, and she's looking around for implements in my kitchen, and all I had was a steak knife, and she's using that, and I don't know why that wouldn't work, but the bread's shredding and flying every place in chunks, and she just looked at me and said, you know, Steve, you need a bread knife. And I said, a bread knife? She said, yeah, you know, they're long, they're wide, they have serrated edges. You need a bread knife. And I pictured that, and I said, I knew what she was talking about. I said, yeah, you're right, I need a bread knife. And then I told Carol, I said, Carol, you know what you need, or we need, or our family needs? Her mother at the time was in a nursing home, and when we'd go over there, we'd have to just sit on the edge of the bed, and it was very uncomfortable. And I said, your mother needs 2 little hardback chairs that we could pick up and move around and move out of the way when we're not there. And now I'm kind of for a guy, pretty decorator-oriented. So when I said that, we need a couple of hardback chairs, I pictured exactly what those chairs should look like. This room that her mother was in was cherry wood furniture, and it had all these red and green accents. So when I said that to Carol, I was picturing a cherry wood chair, or 2 of them, with red and green seats. Okay, that was 8 o'clock on an evening. I get up the next morning, 8 o'clock, look out the window, just less than 12 hours later, and there's this stuff all over the lawn outside my window. I said, what is all that stuff? It looks like somebody's possessions. And I go out there and start wandering around, and there's some people milling around through all this stuff. I said, what's going on? Why is all this stuff down here? And somebody said, well, even though this is a really nice place, because it was kind of a luxury townhome style apartment community, they said, somebody still never paid their rent for month after month, and they evicted this person. So I felt really bad about that. I said, well, that's terrible. You know, this stuff is here. When's he going to get it, or what's going to happen with this? And this lady said, oh, no. You know, he's already gone. He's had plenty of time to get everything he needs, everything he wants. It's loaded onto a truck, and he's down the road. All this is just stuff that's left over, and it would really be to the benefit of the apartment complex if you would take whatever you can. Because otherwise, we're going to have to come over here and just start picking this stuff up and distributing it or whatever. And it would be very helpful for you to take something, please. So once I understood that and felt pretty good about that, I started walking around. I said, well, I guess I could use this bread knife and these 2 hardback cherry wood chairs with the red and green seats. Yeah, it was amazing. So can you literally attract what you want to you? Yes, you can. But, in my experience anyway, 99.999% of the time, what I feel, how the process has worked for me of manifesting and attracting, I don't literally attract what I want to me, but I definitely attract the people, the circumstances, the events that lead me to my good. I attract the opportunities that I need to take advantage of. I attract open doors that I need to go through to achieve my good. When I visualize the manifestation process, it's not like sitting on a stream waiting on something to wash up to me, but it is very much like I've got something in mind, a desire, a goal, a dream, and it's like a destination down the stream, and I'm going to row my boat towards that destination. But I do not have to get there under my own power alone, because there's this flow that is helping me get there in a way that's much more effective and efficient than I could ever achieve under my own power. That flow really is the flow of guidance. A flow of guidance. You know, we're continually being guided to our good by our own intuitive wisdom, by the intuitive wisdom of other people, by signs and synchronicities. And our job is to recognize, you know, how the universe is responding to us, what it's bringing to us in terms of guidance and people and circumstances, and act on that. And I just call that, you know, rowing with the flow. You know, to get where you want to go, you're going to have to row with the flow. Row with that flow and not against it. But how often do we row against the flow? So much of the time. I mean, we do everything but row with the flow, don't we? We ignore it, we interfere with it, we restrict it, we resist it, we block it, we limit it. We do everything we can to make sure we do not experience the divine flow. It's always right there, but we block our awareness of it and our experience of it. All the ways that we have of interfering with the flow and blocking it, that's really what I cover in workshops and in my book, and I'm not going in to that tonight. But there is one thing that we can do, that you can do starting right now, that greatly enhance your ability to live life in the divine flow and to fulfill your heart's desires effortlessly. And that is to love. To love. When most people hear the word love, they quickly jump into the idea, I know what love is. Love is compassion. Yep. And passion. And love is kindness and caring and, well, it's sympathy and empathy. And yes, that's some of the ways that we express love. But what is love, really? What is the isness of love, if there is such a thing as that? There's a one-word definition for it in the Bible. And Bill said it tonight already. You know what I'm getting at? God. God is love. God is love. Okay, so what? I mean, what's that mean to me? Well, in New Thought, to New Thought individuals, it means a whole lot. Because do we not teach, do we not believe that we are individual expressions of God? That we are God in expression? That more than most people, we really do believe we're made in the image and likeness of God, expressing God's nature. And that nature is love. So if God is love, and you are an individual expression of love, what are you? You are love. You are love. Love is not just a way of feeling. Love is a state of being. You are love incarnate. And to me, because of that, the idea of loving, to love, is really simply a matter of recognizing the truth of who you are, recognizing your divine essence of love, and better than that, seeing it in everybody else. No matter what the appearances or what the behavior, you know that their divine essence is love itself, just like yours is. And when you do that, when you go around recognizing your own divine essence of love and looking beyond appearances to see the divine, loving nature of everybody else, honoring that and upholding that and allowing that to come forth, it will dramatically alter your experience of the divine flow. It dramatically enhance it and actually make it easier for you to fulfill your heart's desires. And I'll give you an example of how that works. I'm going to tell you another story. I don't know if this is the perfect story for love. It's certainly an example of loving kindness, and it's in the kind of the workaday business world of corporate America. This story begins at 3 a.m. in the morning. Woke up one morning in a panic. And what I was so afraid of was this. In the morning, at about 9 o'clock, I had a meeting with the president of my advertising agency, and I was supposed to present to him 3 television scripts that I had written for some TV commercials. Now, normally that's no big deal. You know, I spent 30 years in advertising. I was presenting ideas and television scripts all the time. But this time was a little different, because right after I presented those 3 scripts, I needed to get in a car, go out to the client, and sell those same 3 scripts to the client. And then I needed to go right to the airport, get on a plane, come out to California, and begin to produce those scripts, those ideas. The point I'm getting to here is this, that there was no time for changes or anything. Everything had to go perfectly. My president really needed to approve all 3 scripts. The client needed to approve all 3 so I could get on the plane and go do that. And if I didn't, if something went wrong in the works, there was going to be a lot of money that would be wasted, and it was an issue. And I felt like it was all going to come back on me. So I woke up worrying about this thing, that everything had to go perfectly. They had to approve my work perfectly. And I realized, when has that ever happened? When has it ever gone perfectly? When have they approved every single thing I did and everybody along the way said, yeah, that's great, yeah, that's great? Never that I could think of. So I'm thinking, this is not going to be a good day tomorrow. Things are not going to go well. So I really began to worry about this thing. And I guess the first thing I began to worry about even more was just, why wouldn't they approve all 3 of my scripts? Well, you know, to be honest with you, 2 of them, I was dead sure they were going to buy those. I knew they would like those. I liked them. It was the kind of thing they would like, and I had no problem with that. But the 3rd one was just a little quirky. I really liked it a lot, and I think it was good, and I was going to recommend it to the client. But it was different. It wasn't the kind of thing they were used to buying. So I thought, man, you know, that I don't know the president's going to buy that or the client, and why didn't I work harder? Or why didn't I just keep working day and night until I got something that I was sure that would be kind of like the other 2? What's the matter with me? I really began to judge myself, was not loving myself. You know, Steve, you should have done a better job. You know, what's the matter with you? You've put yourself in a big, scary position here. Okay, then I began to think about the president of my agency. And that guy, you know, even if I had 3 wonderful scripts, which I do, I guess, that guy, he's an egomaniac. You know, just to show that he's in charge, you know, he's killing stuff right and left anyway, just to look like he's smart and knows something. If he approves all 3, it looks like he's not working. And he's got to show that he deserves that job. So I'm sure he's going to not approve all 3 of those things just because of his ego trip of being the president of the agency. So I'm really judging him, not loving him at all. And then I got to thinking about our client. Our client. Oh, that guy. He's an idiot. What an idiot. He wouldn't know a good idea if it just jumped in his lap. You know, he will probably reject 1 or more of these scripts just out of sheer stupidity. So here I am. I'm not so sure I did very good work. Oh, my president's an egomaniac. The client's an idiot. This is going to be a disaster. So I'm not getting any more peace here. The longer I'm awake, the worse I'm feeling. So eventually, I had an idea. I think maybe I need to pray about this. Hey, I know. And I did. You know, and the prayer was a simple one, really. It was really, God, I feel so scared and so miserable and so frightened and frustrated and worried. And you know what I think I need? I think I need another way to look at this. Isn't there another way to see this so I can get some peace and go back to sleep and not be experiencing this horrible scenario? Well, I got a response immediately. First thing that happened, I realized that I was experiencing and worrying about a future that had not happened, and I had no way of knowing that it would happen. I was making it all up. Now, I could look back over past experiences and say, yeah, it was likely to happen, but that doesn't mean it will happen. You never know what's going to happen. Mark Twain has a great quote about that kind of thing. He said, I've had a lot of horrible experiences in my life, a few of which actually happened. So you know what? I realized, man, I'm already living a future and experiencing all the stress and strain of this horrible event that hasn't even happened. That is ridiculous. So I began to get a little peace about that. Said, you know, tomorrow's another day. Who knows what's going to happen? I began to get some peace. Then I began to look at myself, how I was judging myself for what was the matter with me. Why didn't I work harder and longer and get a 3rd commercial I didn't have to worry about? And I thought, you know, Steve, I'm talking to myself, I guess. Do you like that commercial? Is the 3rd one good? Do you really, from the deepest part of your heart, recommend it and think it's a good thing and people will love it and it's the best for the client? And the answer was yes. So what if it was quirky? That has nothing to do with anything. It was unique, it was great, and I really thought I had done a great job on it, and I worked all the hours I needed to work, and I certainly wasn't lazy and sloughing off. I did a good job. So I kind of, patted myself on the back and said, I did the best I could do with the time and the intellect and the skills I have, and that's all I can ever do. And I loved myself, and I got a little more peace. And then I began to look at the client and the president of my agency. Now, I don't know why it took so many years for this thought to dawn on me. But it did, and this was the thought. Is it really in the best interests of the president of my agency and the client to not approve my work? Is that what they really wanted? Would that help them at all? No, they're the ones going to be spending the money. It was not in their best interest. They wanted to approve all those commercials. You know, I began to go beyond that a little deeper and looked within these men's hearts, and I realized, man, these guys are just creative spirits like I am. We're three creative spirits, loving in nature, all in the same boat. We're all in the same boat. We all have the same destination in mind, and we're all rowing towards that destination. The president wanted 3 good commercials, that's all. The client wanted 3 good commercials, I wanted 3, and we all just wanted to love them. That's it. There was no ulterior thing going on. So I saw that, began to respect these gentlemen for what they represented, and loved them, and got the peace I needed, and drifted off back to sleep. So I woke up the next morning, and I woke up with a great, enthusiastic, and positive attitude. Now, when I say positive, do I mean that I was positive that they were going to buy all 3 commercials? No, I wasn't. Here's what I was positive about. That if I kept an open mind and an open heart, everything would work out to the best for all concerned. All I had to do was keep an open mind and an open heart, and everything would work out in the way that was best for all concerned. And that's exactly what happened. I presented the 3 commercials at 9 o'clock to the president of my agency, and he approved the first 2, and he said the third one was a little quirky, and he was not comfortable with going through with that one. But you know what? Let me tell you something. In the past, I would have vehemently defended my work. I would have cast fear into his heart, telling him how we have no time. It's a good commercial. You must buy this. We need to go forward. There's no time for changes. I would have done everything I could to get that thing sold. And I don't know whether I could or not, but I would have been attacking him in several ways. And he would have gotten the impression from me that, what is the matter with you? Why are you killing this? You don't know what you're doing. It's all ego. He would have picked up on all of that. I didn't do any of that. I looked at him and in all sincerity, it wasn't just words, said, okay, well, we've got 2 commercials and we need 3. What are we going to do? That's all. Just what are we going to do? No judgment, no everything. We're in this together. He got the impression I wasn't even saying he's the reason we're now in this leaky boat. It was just, here's a situation. It's fine. But what's our next step? Now, to this day, I do not know what he said. But whatever it was he said, it caused me to remember an idea I'd had like 3 weeks before that I just couldn't get to work, and I'd thrown it in the trash can. And that idea popped up because of what he said, and I said, okay, well here's a little germ of something I was working on weeks ago, but I don't know. And I just, what it is, and I just threw it out there. Well, again, I don't know what he said, but he said something. And whatever that was, it was just enough for me to see the missing links or whatever it was in this idea I had. And the next thing I knew, sitting in his office, a full-blown commercial popped into my head. I knew exactly what it should say and how it should go and what the dialogue would be and all that. And I just said, you know what? I think I've got it. Thank you for your help. I'm going to come back in 10 minutes, and I think I've got the solution. So I go back to my office. It was like taking dictation. You know how inspired ideas come. All I really had to do was write that thing down. It probably took 3 minutes. And I come back to his office, within 10 minutes and say, how about this? And he looked at it and said, that's great. I'm right on schedule. Get in the car, go out to the client, present the 3 commercials. Those are great. Get on the plane, produce them, good sales, everything was great. Now that little story, as I looked back on it, there were 4 things that I learned about loving kindness and how a little love goes a long way when it comes to living in the flow and fulfilling a desire. And my desire really was to have everything go smoothly like clockwork and get to the client and get on the plane and everything go nicely. And that is what happened, even though there was that one little part in the middle. But that was effortless. There's 4 things I've learned, and that's what I want to leave you with tonight. 4 ways that love enhances your ability to be in the divine flow. First one, love brings out your inner wisdom. Love brings out your inner wisdom. I was talking about guidance a while ago, that we get all this guidance. Well, really the most valuable and reliable source of guidance you'll ever have is from your intuition. And I define your intuition as your spirit speaking to you. And that includes insights and inspiration. Your spirit is a source of insight, inspiration, and intuition. Well, did I not say earlier, and as we all know, that our divine essence is love itself? Well, that's your spirit. Your spirit is the loving energy of God that it's an expression of. Your spirit is love. Your spirit is also the source of insights and inspiration. So doesn't it just make sense that if you're expressing love that you're coming from Spirit? And if you're coming from Spirit, wouldn't the insights and inspiration of your Spirit come right along with that love? They come together. You know, love makes you a wiser person, actually. It's almost like having an open heart creates an open mind. And that's what happened in that moment. You know, that loving attitude I had, without me getting into fear and blame and judgment, kept me open enough to be inspired enough to write something in 3 minutes, which can sometimes take 3 hours or 3 days or 3 weeks. Rarely 3 minutes. But I was totally open at that point with no judgment and free to allow Spirit to express through me, which was love. Okay, so that's one way. That's one way that love enhances our ability to move down that stream. We're more insightful and inspired people. Second way, love brings out the intuitive wisdom in other people. In other people. Yes, I wrote that commercial in 3 minutes, or I channeled it, or whatever you want to call it. But that only happened because of what my president said. I'd thrown that idea away weeks ago. It took the both of us to make that happen, not just me. And here's the deal. He felt safe enough to say what it was he had to say. You think he would have said the same inspired little thing or whatever it was if I'm sitting there shooting daggers at him out of my eyes, telling him, well, this is no good, and we must do this, and what do you mean, and it's a great idea, and you must buy it? No, you know, he would just be retreat into that defensive posture. I think it's the ego myself. You get into ego to defend yourself, and the ego is just not open to divine guidance. When you're in defensive mode, it's like building a wall around yourself to protect yourself, and God can't get through that either. That's really cutting yourself off. So I felt like, you know, just having a little loving kindness towards that man and just saying, okay, you have every right not to approve this commercial. You're the president. But what are we going to do? Let's together figure out what our next right step is. He felt safe in my presence then, and he felt safe enough to have the inspired wisdom to say whatever he said. So love brings out the wisdom in others. And as I've said, and I said it a minute ago, I think, we are all in the same boat together. You rarely get anywhere, if ever, totally by yourself. There are other people in your manifestation process, and you need to salute that Christ within them and give them a little love and kindness and honor their divine loving spirit as your own to enable the two of you to row in harmony and get where you're going to go together. The third way that love enhances our ability to be in the flow, and you know what, this is really just putting 2 and 2 together. Love transforms situations. Love transforms situations. Just look at it this way. How can a situation not transform? A situation that starts with distrust or doubt, fear, assumptions, how can it not change for the better if at least one person in that situation begins to come from love, begins to be mutually supportive of the other people? How can it not change for the better when you're making other people feel safe enough to be their inspired selves? How can it not change for the better when people begin to, out of love, cooperate, respect each other, and become divinely guided? 2 people divinely guided. How can it not change for the better? One thing about love, maybe it doesn't transform the situation, but it certainly transforms the people in that situation and how they feel about that situation and how they respond to that situation, and that changes everything. All of history changes at that moment when at least one person comes from love and allows the possibility for the other person then to feel safe enough to be the love that they are as well. So love transforms situations, even in the business world. Finally, last point tonight. The last way that love enhances your ability to be in the divine flow, and you know, it's not so much that it enhances your ability to get where you're going or fulfill your desires, it just enhances your experience of the divine flow and experience of life. And that's this. Love feels good. Love feels good. It feels good to love. Makes you happy. Now, you know, it's a common misconception, I believe anyway. I hear it a lot, and I just don't think it's accurate. You hear a lot, I need to be loved. I would be happier if I was loved, if I could just get some love. I need some love coming my way, and that will be good for me, and I will feel happy. Here's what I think happens. When somebody loves you, or says they do, or you feel you're in an environment of love, that just means you feel safe enough to be the love that you are. And that's what feels good. Nothing feels better than being true to who you are and expressing the truth of who you are. And if you're in an environment where that's easy, you feel good. Somebody loves you, you immediately are able to love them back. And it happens so quickly, you don't even realize the good feeling is that now you're loving them. You're opening your heart to who you truly are and expressing that back. That's what really feels good. Conversely, if somebody is attacking you and you feel bad, is it really because of what they are doing that you feel bad? It's because of what you've chosen to do because of that. Might be an instant choice, an understandable choice, but it's still what we do. You've decided you can no longer love that person or be true to who you are because they're attacking you. That's what really feels bad, not being yourself. Now I can't be myself. I can't be the love that I am because you are doing that. So really the source of love is you. You are love. And loving is what feels good. It makes you feel happy. Now that brings up a paradox, really. Don't all messages about spiritual things end up in a paradox? Here's a quick paradox and I'm done. I've been talking for the last several minutes about how love enhances your ability to be in the divine flow, get where you're going, and fulfill your desires and dreams and goals. Makes it easier, makes it more efficient and effective to get down that stream. But at the same time, love feels good. So aren't you kind of happy wherever you are? You're happy whether you're just about to reach your dream or miles away from it. It really doesn't make any difference. When you reach your goal or dream, if you do that, that is great. It feels wonderful. It is icing on the cake. But that's all it is the icing on the cake. And if you wait for that icing, and that's where you think all the happiness is, you're going to maybe waiting a while. The true enjoyment of life is experiencing the love that you are all along the way. I do feel like as I was putting this book together, it was inspired like the 3-minute commercial, and I really liked the way Spirit worded the last couple pages of this. So if you'll bear with me, this kind of sums up what I'm talking about here. When you experience the joy that comes from loving, you experience one of life's greatest truths, the truth that love is its own reward. When you love, life is so satisfying, so gratifying, so meaningful and rewarding, it doesn't make one bit of difference where you are along the course of the stream, whether you are just about to reach your dream or whether you are still miles away from it. Does that mean that all of your goals, your plans, your aims, and aspirations become irrelevant? Not in the least. It's in your very nature for you to have desires and for you to row, row, row your boat in pursuit of their fulfillment. What does become irrelevant is the actual outcome of your pursuit, because you know that your happiness does not rely on what that outcome is. When you express love, life is good just the way it is, and you are happy right where you are, wherever you are. So friends, go ahead and choose a destination. Pick up your oars and begin to row, row, row your boat gently down that stream. With God as your guide, you can be positive that the divine flow will lead you to your highest good with effortless ease. But more importantly, with God inside, you will understand that your arrival at your chosen destination is not, nor has it ever been, what the journey of life is all about. The journey of life is not about getting somewhere. The journey of life is about being something. It's about being the love that you are in every single moment of that journey, and it's about experiencing the absolute joy that your love brings to the journey and brings to each and every spirit that you encounter along the way. Here's to a joyful, effortless, and fulfilling journey, my friends. Bon voyage and Godspeed. Thank you.